Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us on this Saturday, and thanks for taking time out to come and hear me speak today. Now, in today's educational presentation, I'm going to teach you how to be in sync with the overall and short-term trend at the same time. Now, this is a very common way to be in sync with the markets, whatever time frame you're looking at, and for that matter, for whatever market you're looking at. Most people, in my opinion, though, use this concept incorrectly. And it's not your fault. It's the way we're taught to use this concept of being in sync with the two different time frames. For example, a lot of traders are taught to look at some type of pattern on the chart to be in sync with a smaller time frame, or probably the most used concept is to look at a higher time frame to determine what the short-term time frame is, to have those two in sync. For example, looking at a weekly chart and then a daily chart together to make sure they're both in sync, or a daily chart to look at an hourly chart. Well, in my opinion, all of these concepts are faulty. In other words, it's true. You want to have the overall and the short-term trend in sync with each other to create a higher level of consistency. The only trouble is we've been taught faulty or ill-conceived ways in which to do this. Let me share with you what my mentors taught me some 4 decades ago and what I still use today according to their concepts. So here's what I learned trading on the floor of the stock exchange. What my mentors taught me was simply this. They said, Steve, if you cannot identify the trend from the one chart right in front of you, then where else do you expect to find it? In other words, what they were trying to say is that everything you need to know is right there in front of you. There's no need to overcomplicate things. There's no need to look at two more or so time frames. There's no need to look at tons of indicators. There's no need to have different time frames or different charts analyzing each other. It just bogs down your trading, and what you feel is really going to make you more successful is actually keeping you away from that success. You see, it's the easiest thing in the world to overcomplicate your trading, but it's the most difficult thing in the world to simplify. Well, in today's educational presentation, I'm going to share with you what I use to determine the overall and the short-term trend being in sync. And you're going to see how simple it is, how it's right there in front of you, and it's been there in front of you all along. We've just never been told how to properly identify it. Now, if you're still having trouble with this, the good news is we made everything one click away on our platform, the PTS Primo charting platform that actually teaches you how to trade, because you're going to see how simple it is to achieve this concept by clicking on the platform. Okay, so this is going to be a great educational presentation on a Saturday morning. Welcome once again. My name is Steven Primo. I am the president and founder of Specialist Trading. I formulated Specialist Trading roughly about 12 years ago with Pro Trader Strategies. They're my sister site. We had one goal in mind when we started this, and that was simply to educate traders and to teach them all the things that I've used in my 4 decades plus of trading. You see, I started my career 44 years ago on the floor of the Pacific Stock Exchange. I was on the floor for a total of 16 years, and 9 of those years I was a specialist. That's where we get the name Specialist Trading. So virtually everything I teach my students around the world in over 115 countries and in every state in the United States are things that I learned while trading on the floor, things that you won't find anywhere else, things that I truly feel have sustained me, and they're rooted in simplicity. So this is what our goal is, to teach you the things that I learned from the floor and what have sustained me, and hopefully they'll be able to sustain you. Now, this is promised to be a great educational classroom today, but before we begin, as always, we are required by law to share this with you, so please take a moment to view our disclaimer. I'm going to show you a lot of performance results using these techniques that I learned from the floor, but please remember that I can in no way guarantee that any of the results you're about to see will be repeated in the future. Also, please remember that all examples, since we are an educational company, all examples are strictly for educational purposes only. Now, another way to get education on a daily basis is to follow us on Twitter. There's our handle right there. If you haven't done so already, please feel free to follow us on Twitter. I post different information on a daily basis. A lot of traders like to come to our Twitter page because I will show examples of signals that have recently been generated in stocks and futures and currency pairs, and give you a little background as to why they were generated. I'll also give you daily financial wisdom, little bits of financial wisdom to get you on your way and to kind of clear your head and clear a path for you to trade for the day. So there's lots of great free education on a daily basis. So please feel free to follow us on Twitter. Now, it's funny, the other day, I made mention of this in another webinar, but the other day I received an email from a prospective student saying, well, listen, Mr. Primo, if all your stuff works so well and it's so consistent, why don't you just tell us what to buy or what to sell? Now, think of it. That is the entire way the business of the financial business is set up. You have to go to a web page, you go to what's it called, someone's Twitter feed, or you go to a trading room or a chat room, and they basically tell you on a daily basis what to buy or what to sell, or what they think the market's going to do. Now, ask yourself, if that's the way you make your trading decisions, if that's the way you trade, how is it working for you? Are you, seeing the type of results that you were promised? Most likely you're not. Because believe it or not, even though things were different when I first started trading 44 years ago, it was basically the same thing. There were no trading, rooms or chat rooms, but we had newsletters where, these so-called gurus told us what to buy or what to sell. Or same thing as today, we watched the trading gurus on TV, and they would tell us, what they thought the market was going to do, what to buy or what to sell, or what they thought the perfect time frame was, or what we should be doing. You see, the entire industry, financial industry, is based on that. I'm basically taking you out of the game and just having you blindly follow what some so-called expert is telling you what to do. And that, to me, is really doing you a disservice. That's why we don't ever project and tell you what we think of the market. I don't know what the market's going to do. That goes entirely against our concepts. We never have a trading room or a chat room where we just give you signals on what to buy or what to sell. You see, a good educator does not trade for you, but he teaches you how to trade. And that's our goal. That's our mission statement at Specialist Trading and Pro Trader Strategies. My goal is to teach you how to trade with the Specialist Edge. This is the same edge that was taught to me some 4 decades ago and what has truly sustained me. And hopefully it can do the same for you. So you'll never see me at any webinar telling you what I think the market's going to do, or what I think the best stock to buy or sell is, or what you should do with this future currency pair. Personally, I have no idea. I mean, our concept is simply to follow and react to what the market wants to do. So we're constantly learning how to listen to the market. And guess what? I'm going to teach you the most basic ways in which to do that in today's educational class. How to really listen to what the market wants to do. Now, before we begin, once again, this is a classroom, so ask me as many questions as you like, but please wait till the end of class. I'm going to show you a lot of slides. Also, I'm going to do something I don't rarely do, I'm going to look at some live charts. So we're going to look at some charts that have been updated up until yesterday. But while using this technique and show you how you can easily and simply apply it on our platform. So if you have any questions, please wait till the end of class to ask the questions. The only one I will answer, is this being recorded? Yes, it is. Oftentimes, a lot of viewers have difficulty. Many times they can't see or hear me clearly. It often has to do with your internet connection. So if you're having that same issue, just log off and log back on. But don't worry, each and every one of you will be sent a link to this recording, okay? So you can watch it at your own leisure. All right, with that said, let's begin today's educational class. And let's get right into it. Let's talk about these 2 techniques for determining the overall and the short-term trend. Technique number 1, if price is above the 50-period simple moving average, the overall trend is up. That's it. It's that simple. Remember, I told you it's going to be extremely simple. Now, conversely, if price is below the 50-period simple moving average, the overall trend is down. You see, there's no reason to overcomplicate things. It's that simple. Let's look at this generic chart right here. This is where traders have difficulty, because they'll look at something like this and they'll say, well, Steve, there's no trend. Look, we're going down, we're going up, we're going right back down again. How can I find out a trend so I'm not going to do anything? But what's the first thing we teach all of our new and beginning students to do? It's to apply the 50-period moving average. We call it the buy-sell line because it tells you whether you should be a buyer or a seller. So once you add that, then you ask yourself, where is price in relation to that 50-period moving average? Well, it's above, right? So then what, not me, not some guy in a chat room or a trading room, not some guy on TV, what is the market telling you? The market's saying the overall trend is up. That's all you have to do. Now, let's look at this generic chart here. Once again, most traders would say, well, I'm not going to touch this with a 10-foot pole. Look at it. No trend, right? Down, up, back down. I mean, this is a whipsaw market. Not really. What's the first thing you do? I don't care if it's a 1-minute bar. That's why we specifically took out the name of this issue. We took out the time frame because I want you to realize this can be any chart. If you trade currency pairs, imagine this to be a currency pair. If you trade tick charts, then this is a tick chart. Makes no difference. But you have to add the 50-period moving average. Now you ask yourself, where is price in relation to that? Price is below. So that's telling you, not me, not some guy on TV, but the market is telling you the overall trend is down. So how are we going to use this? Well, remember this concept. If the overall trend is down, it doesn't mean we simply sell at the market. This is not a trading signal. We're not going to talk about strategies today with rules looking for patterns or indicators to cross or whatever to tell us when to get in and when to get out. We're just figuring out what the overall and the short-term trend are. Now, if the overall trend is down, as you see right here, we will never be a buyer because the odds are in your favor that you will make or be more consistent in your trading if you are in sync with the overall trend. So if the overall trend is down, you never want to be a buyer. You want to look for sell signals, regardless of what method you're using. I don't care if it's one of mine or someone else's, but you will have higher level of consistency if you're only a seller if price is below. Now, conversely, if price is above, like that first chart I shared with you, well, then you should only look for buy signals. It's that simple. All right, so that's how you find the overall trend. Go and experiment with it right now. I'm sure you'll look back and say, wow, he's right. I'm looking at a chart right now, and once it crossed above the 50-period moving average, wow, it just kept going up higher and higher. I wish I would have known this in advance because I shorted it, right? Most likely you were told by someone in some chat room or some strategy you have that it's too overbought, right? Can't go any higher. And maybe it went down for a bar or two, but then kept going up, right? You will have a higher level of consistency if you only trade in sync with the overall trend. Now, how do we ramp it up even higher to higher levels of consistency? Well, we want to make sure that the short-term trend is in sync with the overall trend. So do we have to look at a higher time frame? Do we have to add some, convoluted indicator that we have no idea what it's based off? No. Let's take us to technique number 2. When a bar closes in the top 25% of its range, the short-term trend is up. That's simple, right? Conversely, once again, when a bar closes in the bottom 25% of its range, the short-term trend is down. It's that simple. It's right there on the chart in front of you. In fact, it always has been. You just were never trained to look for these things, right? We were always trained. I have students on a daily basis, new students say, well, Steve, I was always taught I have to look at the higher time frame. Or I was always taught I have to look at a bunch of indicators crossing over. Why overcomplicate things? All right, once again, a generic bar. I don't care if this was a tick chart. I don't care if it was a monthly bar. It makes no difference. If it was a currency pair or a future, it makes absolutely no difference. But what you want to do is take a bar, divide it by 4 separate but equal parts, and if that bar closes in the top quarter of its range, the top 25%, oh, guess what? Not me, not some guy in a chat room, not some guy on TV, but the market once again is telling you the short-term trend is up. Now, look at this chart again. Remember we looked at this, firstly, the overall trend is up, right? Now, when we combine them, we see that, well, here's a bar that closed in the top 25%. It went up for about 5 or 6. Now, right after that, look what happened. It went down. This is where most students say, well, Steve, this doesn't work because look at it. It only went up for so long. Well, how do you know these aren't monthly bars? And this could have been 6 straight months of upward movement. Now, we're still above the 50. And now here's another bar that closes in the top 25%. Now, what would have happened if you would have gone short, right? So you see how the market, when you have these two things in sync, is really giving you a high level of consistency. Now, conversely, let's look at this bar. Once again, generic bar. We have no idea what market or what time frame because it doesn't make any difference. You want to divide by 4 separate but equal parts. And if you close in the bottom 25%, what is the market? Not me, but what is the market telling you? It's telling you the short-term trend is down. All right. Now, what we want to do is combine this with the overall trend. So let's look at that chart before. We are now below the 50, so the overall trend is down. And what do we have here? A bar that closes in the bottom 25%. So the short term and the overall trend are in sync. And look what happened. Now, did I tell you to short this? Did some guy on TV tell you to short this? No, the market told you it wanted to go lower. So do you see how you have the odds in your favor now by just simply looking at the chart in front of you? Everything you need to know is right there. Remember, these are not signals. This is the most common mistake new students make. They'll say to themselves, well, okay, so gosh, I guess I just sell right when I see those two together. No, you still have to add some structure. These are just guideposts giving you a great, powerful clue as to which direction the market wants to go. And so it'll make you feel even more confident with your strategy or your system, whatever you're trading, that you see these two on the chart at the same time. Now, in order to take your trading to the next level, though, you must first add these two techniques to your current trading plan. You can't just say, oh, okay, that's interesting, but I don't really trade that way. It makes no difference. You can still use your system. It can be from another teacher, another website. I don't care. But if you add these two things, you will increase your odds for consistency. But remember, it's easy to apply the 50-period moving average. Most students say, well, I have no difficulty with that. It's very simple. But you also must be able to properly identify a top-bottom 25% pattern. Remember, you have to divide by 4. And if you close in that top 25%, you're going to be in the sync with the market. Now, the trouble is most traders do the opposite. They'll say, okay, well, this is the bottom 25, and this is the bottom or top. I'm out of sync. I don't really know. So they have difficulty. They kind of mix things up, and they change things around, not having a proper idea. Here's the good news. We designed the PTS Primo charting platform to have everything right there in front of you and to also be one click away. So we've taken the hard work out of it for you. When I first started using this technique, sure, it wasn't difficult plotting the 50-period moving average, but remember, I started trading on the floor of the Pacific Stock Exchange, where you basically would hold a position maybe for 5 or 10 minutes at the longest. And I had to calculate and divide by 4 all these, 1-minute charts I was looking at, and it was difficult. What if there were a platform that could automatically do that for me? Well, there is. It's the PTS Primo charting platform. And now what I want to do is just share with you a few examples just to show you how powerful but how simple these two techniques are when combined together. So please take one last look at our disclaimer here, because I'm going to show you a lot of performance results right now from updated charts on our platform. But please remember that we can in no way guarantee that any of the results I'm about to share with you will be repeated in the future. Remember, what I'm about to share with you right now is strictly for educational purposes only. Okay? All right, so let me toggle over really quickly onto our platform. This is the PTS Primo charting platform. All right? And there are a lot of different features. Here are all our strategies. Here are all our different techniques. Let's go to the top here and see we have PEN. All right? And we're looking back to roughly over a year ago, November 2020. Now, obviously, in hindsight, this has been going up. The stock was roughly back here in November. It was at 65. And it's gone all the way up almost 80 or 90%, up to the 115 or so. How could we have known that? Well, the first thing you want to do is come to the top left-hand corner, click on Buy Sell Line. Just click on the top category, 50 period. And right there automatically, look how we knew right here that the overall trend was up. This was in November, okay? So there was no need to say to yourself, well, gosh, how do I know this is going to go up? And even when we had this sell-off, it sold off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days in a row. Okay? Now, someone would say, well, gosh, this is topped out. It's really coming lower. But the entire time it sold out, where was it in relation to the buy-sell line? It was above, right? So this was actually telling us that this was a buy signal. And there are a number of strategies. For example, I can just see one right here where one of our strategies would have generated buy signals right here, right at the bottom. Okay, but we're not going to be talking about strategies today. I don't want to get too carried away. So let's just talk about the overall trend. Okay, but now how did we know if the short-term trend was in sync? Well, We come to this line again and we go to the top bottom 25%. Click on signal arrows and they will automatically click on all of the bars that close in the top 25% because obviously we are above the 50. We don't want to notice bars that close in the bottom because we're above the 50. Now you saw a couple here which gave you, a good warning that we were in sync together. But once you start seeing more and more like this is a very good sign, okay? So now the short term and the overall trend are in sync. And look what happened as we continue to go into this year. Now, roughly coming into March, look what happened. We started getting closer to the buy-sell line. We haven't closed below it yet, but look what happened here. We bounced right back up. Do you see how that happens almost automatically? If you had said, well, this is it, we're going lower now. Look, we broke this support. This is where all the institutions are buying. And look at, we're trading below the 50. Look what happened. Remember, as long as price is closing above the 50 and you see a confluence of these green arrows, the overall and the short-term trend are still in sync. Now, let's see what happened now. All of a sudden, we get a red down arrow. Why? Because this is the first bar that closed below the 50. This was in March of this year. We bounce back up, but then we get another one. And now we get a third. So what is the market telling us? It's telling us now that not only is price closing below the 50, but we're also getting a confluence of bars closing in the bottom 25%. So this is a clue for the first time in over a year coming from the market, not from me. This is once again where students say, Steve, what do you think of the market? I don't know. I only listen to the market. The market tells me what it's going to do. I don't have my opinion of what it's going to do. So this is a clue that came from the market that was telling all of us it wants to go lower. As you can see, this was in March of this year. Price was roughly around 114, 115. And look what happened. Notice all the down red arrows. As we continue to go forward into May, we're going lower and lower and lower coming into this week in July, okay? Remember, stock was roughly about 114, 115. You lost 50% of the value. Not 50%, a little bit less than that, I'm sorry. But roughly around, or actually no more, I'm sorry. I think it was about 70%. But you lost a tremendous amount of value in this stock. This is where students lose money because they say to themselves, well, gosh, I kept buying because that chat room I went to said it was too oversold or all the institutions were buying. Remember what my mentor said. Everything is right there on the chart, on the one chart in front of you. So look how long we have been below the 50-period moving average. 1, 2, 3, 4 months. You could have gotten out right here and had plenty of time to exit and to save some money. Now, if you're more aggressive, you could have gone short. This is how simple it is when you know these two very basic but powerful techniques. Let's look at another example in Costco, okay? Right here. This is going back to January of this year. Now, obviously, we've been coming down. The stock was roughly around 380, coming down all the way 30 points to 350. How could we have known to get out of the way? I mean, what if we thought, well, I'm going to buy in this doji right here, and it kept going lower? Well, if I applied the buy-sell line, click on 50-period moving average, ask myself, where has price been in relation to the 50? Price is below. So why would I buy on this candlestick pattern doji right here, thinking that it's the bottom, or this is a morning star formation? Why would I buy? We're below the 50. So we automatically know that we should be looking at this from a seller's point of view. Now, in order to find out what the short-term trend is, we simply come up to the green strategy tab again. Now we look at top 25, top bottom 25, click on signal arrows, and look at all the red arrows. This is telling us that the more red arrows you have, the more the short-term is strong and in sync with the overall trend. All right, remember that was at roughly 350. Look what it's done coming all the way into July. Now, at this point, we started to go back up. This was in March of this year. Look what happened. We were below, and we came all the way back up. So you could have exited. Let's say you were long Costco. You could have exited, stayed out of all this trouble, because most likely you would have had very difficulty sleeping at night, knowing that you lost roughly about 70 points or so. And you could have exited and said, hey, listen, now it's telling me it wants to go back up. Time to get back in. And that was roughly once again at 350. And the stock is now going higher. You see how this works? It just, it's just that simple. Stock has gone up roughly from 350 all the way up to 420. And this is July. This is current now. And we are still above, and we still see a lot of these green arrows. It's really that simple to know what side of the market to be on. Now, you notice here, I didn't look at a weekly chart of Costco, or I didn't look at an hourly chart, or I didn't have a ton of indicators crossing, or I wasn't looking at any patterns. Remember, as I said, my mentors taught me it is the easiest thing in the world to overcomplicate your trading by looking and using and applying things that really have no levels of consistency. Take it from someone who tried those same exact things 44 years ago when I was first starting out trading, and they didn't help me. So why would you think they're going to start working now? Only these simple things have helped me, the things I teach my students. So that's why I don't focus on any of those things. All right, let's look at a chart in Microsoft, okay? Obviously, this is in June coming all the way into this week in July. Now, the stock was roughly in the beginning of June at 250, and now it's roughly 40 points higher. How could we have taken advantage of that? Because I'm sure most of you are saying, wow, this is so overbought here, I should say. Well, if we apply the buy-sell line, we knew right here in the first week, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 closes at roughly 255, 257, that the market wanted to go higher on the overall trend. Now, once we applied the top-bottom 25% bar on our platform, look at all the green arrows. So now we know that the short term and the overall trend are in sync and remain in sync. It's that simple. Let's look at TCOM. This is Tripcom Group Limited. Obviously, in hindsight, this stock was trading roughly around $40. It's come all the way down to $27. How could I have protected my investment? What if you were long this, all right? Well, the first thing you want to do is apply the buy-sell line. And you knew right here when price was trading around 37, 38 to get out. This was telling you the overall trend was down. You don't want to be long. You only want to be out of the market or looking to short things. Now, if you wanted to even increase your odds for consistency, look at all the red bars, or should I say red arrows. And they continue to show you this so that stock is showing no signs that it wants to go higher. Okay? This is how simple it is. And this is how you can really protect yourself by using these two simple techniques. Let's look at a weekly chart, the QQQs, all right, with the techniques already applied. This is going back to May of 2020. We already knew on a weekly basis that the QQQs, that's the ETF that represents the NASDAQ, was above the 50. And we already knew that we had a large number of consecutive up arrows. So there was nothing to tell us that the market wanted to go down, and there's still nothing to tell us that the market wants to go down. So if you're an investor or a swing trader using weekly charts, this is what you would look at. But once again, just let me tell you, this is not a strategy. This is where students lose money of mine because they say, well, Steve, gosh, my eyes lit up in that webinar, and then I, got your platform, and now I'm losing money because I take those signals. And I said, well, what signals are you taking? I said, when there's an up green arrow. Remember, these up arrows are just showing you the way for the short term. This is not a strategy. If you look at our green strategy tab, we have everything from the PET D to strategies 1, 3, 3A, 4, 5, 8, 9, and 10. Those are what you apply. But this is just a technique to share with you what the short term and the overall trend should be. And then lastly, let's look at a monthly chart in Amazon. Do you think this could have helped you going back roughly 10, 11 years? In 2010, we were above the 50 on a monthly time frame, and look at all the up green arrows. Look at all the consecutive green arrows here. This is the short term and the overall trend in sync. I know a lot of you are saying, well, gosh, Steve, I'm just looking at one chart. I thought I would have to look at the yearly chart. Or, is this all you need to do? Yeah, this is all I've done for the last 4 decades. I apply the 50-period moving average, and I look at the top-bottom 25% bars. If there is a high number of green arrows, that is telling me a strong upward presence is in store. You know, the market really wants to go higher. Now, many times you'll see the market going up and there's not a lot of green arrows. This is once again a clue of the market telling you that it might be running out of steam. There's lots of different ways to apply this, but we teach you all this in our course. Okay, so let's toggle back to the PowerPoint presentation. And remember, the advantages to applying these techniques are, firstly, they're extremely consistent. As you just saw, I just shared with you about 5 or 6 charts in different time frames in different directions. You saw how consistent they are. Secondly, it makes you a part of the process. Remember I said how most students always just, you know, when they first come on board or they are thinking about coming on board to become a student of mine, they'll say, well, Steve, why don't you tell us just what you think the market's going to do or what you want to buy or sell? Remember, that goes against you being a successful, consistent trader. That's the entire way the business is based, by you taking yourself out of the game, by not becoming a part of the process. I want to do the opposite. I want you to be a part of the process, because in my 44 years of trading, the only traders who are still trading are the ones that are a part of the process. They make their own trading decisions. These traders never go to trading rooms. They never go to chat rooms. They never wait for the earnings to come out. They never listen for guys on TV, because they know they don't have to do that. Those are outside sources telling them what they think the market's going to do. These traders make their own decisions because they are a part of the process. And then lastly, these techniques are designed to be as simple as possible. I mean, it doesn't get any simpler than that, right? There's no need to look at different time frames or apply some indicator or to look at different chart patterns. It's right there in front of you. It's extremely simple and extremely powerful. And once again, repeating what my mentors taught me, if you cannot identify the trend from the one chart, not 2 or 3 charts, but from the one chart right in front of you, then where else do you expect to find it? So let's recap before I tell you about a great offer we have for all of you and a great course to get you in sync to even higher levels with the trend. Firstly, I don't care what strategy you trade. I don't care what time frame. I don't care what market. You should have a 50-period simple moving average always applied to your chart. You always have to have that on there, because that's the buy-sell line. That tells you what the overall trend is and whether you should be a buyer or a seller. And then to take your consistency to the next level, apply the top-bottom 25% rule. That's looking for bars. If price is above the 50, looking for bars that close in the top quarter of their range. If price is below, looking for consecutive bars that close in the bottom 25% of their range. And then lastly, you want to make it simple. You don't want to have to do what I did some 40 years ago, plotting these by hand and making sure everything is equally divided in the heat of the moment and trying to make sure everything is perfect. Everything is one click away on the PTS Primo charting platform. So you want to be able to use that. Remember, we designed this to make trading simple. We want to have a platform here that's like your own personal mentor that teaches you how to trade. So ask yourself, do you think these 2 techniques can help your trading for the remainder of 2021? Remember, we're over halfway through now, all right? How are you doing? Are you getting the type of results you thought you'd get? Maybe you spent $5,000, $10,000 on that strategy or that course, that great course that was supposed to have you retire in the next couple of years. Are you seeing the type of results? Maybe it's because you're using the same outdated thinking and concepts that I was taught some 4 decades ago that really have no levels of consistency. Why not try applying something that really works? Well, if you're interested, here's a great attendee discount we have for all of you, taking time out of your Saturday morning. We're going to offer you our boot camp course. This is all about trend trading. In fact, this is our trend trading special. It goes into multiple ways into how to find the trend and how to trade with the trend. Okay, it's trend trading instruction. We talk more about entries, exits, and stops along with the trend, about how to trade aggressively and conservatively with the trend. But remember, this is not an actual course for trading. It's not a strategy. It's simply teaching you how to be in sync with the trend. So a lot of students say, well, Steve, this is great, but I still don't have anything to trade with. So for that reason, we're also going to include one of our best strategies in terms of a pullback method. This is strategy number 1. It's our most consistent pullback method. A pullback method is a method that is designed to buy at lower levels within an overall uptrend. and designed to sell short at higher levels within an overall downtrend. For example, as we look at this older example here in the spiders, most traders looking at this would say, well, Steve, I'm looking at this chart right now, and obviously we're in a downtrend, right? I don't need to apply your stuff here. Look at, we've got a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down days here, and we just keep going lower. We've broken support. I'm sure we're below the 50. And look at all these bars here that close in the bottom 25%. So I don't need to know and to use these techniques you've taught me. Well, maybe you do, because most traders would say we're in a downtrend, but strategy number 1 determined that the overall trend was up and that this was actually a buy signal. So this is automatically plotted on our platform, and you could have potentially captured 8 points. Now, I know 8 points doesn't seem like a lot, but that transferred over onto 650 Dow Jones points, because remember, the spiders are an ETF that represents the S&P 500. So we're going to throw in the complete course rules. You're going to know exactly where to buy, where to exit, and where to place your stop using strategy number 1. But we're not going to stop there. We're going to throw in some extra bonuses. In fact, a total of, well, let's see, 12 bonuses, including 6 months of our platform. Remember, the platform makes everything simple. Now, 6 months would normally cost you close to $900. We're going to throw in 6 months absolutely free. So let's talk about those 12 bonuses I was referring to. Obviously, you're going to get our online course. You're going to get the strategy number 1 course. You're going to get an entries, exits, and stop placement course. You'll also get a scanner to scan for stocks that are above or below the buy-sell line. Bonus number 7, you'll get my top-bottom 25% scanners. You can scan for stocks above or below that close in the bottom or top 25%, okay? You get a scanner to find the best strategy setups. You also get a multi-scanner to click on for multiple strategies or multiple techniques at once, okay? Also, auto-click entry, exits, and stop placement tool, all included. Now remember, if you'd like to, you can still use your own platform like TradeStation, Metastock, MT4, Sierra Charts, NinjaTrader, or use ours, the PTS Primo charting platform. Remember, this all comes with 6 months of our platform. Now, there are so many other things included on our platform I don't have time to go into, but as you can see here, you're going to get the scanners, a strength of trend tool to determine if the trend is running out of steam, proprietary exit levels, over 90 of the most prominent technical indicators, tons of things that I've accumulated from trading on the floor that you won't find anywhere else. These are not things that you find on most standard packages. These are things that I have taken that I was taught by my mentors and from floor traders that you don't see anywhere else. And this all comes with personalized tech support. So if you ever have any issues with the platform, our tech support is great. They'll be there in a matter of moments to resolve any issue you may have. So this is all included with this great, great discount today. So let's break it down. What exactly is this discount? Well, firstly, let me tell you, if you purchased everything I just shared with you right now, the bootcamp course, strategy number 1, the 12 bonuses, including 6 months of the platform, it would cost you over $8,400, okay? That's far too much to be, asking of you on a Saturday morning. So we're going to discount that tremendously. We're going to discount it down to $297, less than $300. You're going to be saving over $8,100, but this is for a very limited time only. In fact, today only. You have to contact Pro Trader Strategies because next week, I'm sure the price goes right back up to $84.27 if you wanted to get all these things together. So this is a great opportunity to take your trading to the next level. In fact, a year from today, you will have wished you became a member of these courses. Why waste any more time? Invest in yourself. Don't wait till the end of the year when this may be up to $8,500. Invest in yourself for less than $300. You can have all this information that's taken me 4 decades to accumulate. And these are things that I personally use in my own trading. You saw today with what I shared with you, the power and the consistency behind these really simple techniques. Well, how would you like a dozen more of these same type of techniques, along with a full-fledged strategy, along with 6 months of the platform? It's right there for you to take for less than $300. Here's how to take advantage of this great, great offer, okay? Contact my sister site, Pro Trader Strategies. Remember, they are in charge of all of the tech support as well as the pricing and discounts. You can reach them right now. They have trading consultants manning the phones. You can call them directly at 310-598-6000. 6677 if you'd like to sign up through the phone and call them and give them your credit card number. Or if you'd like to do it yourself online, that link you see at the very bottom is the link that will take you to the sign up page as well as the information page. Now, that's not a live link, but we've just posted a live link in the chat box on the far right hand corner of the GoToWebinar column. So if you have to copy and paste that and you're having difficulty, don't worry, just go to the chat box and click that on. Now, I promised you I would be answering any question you have. We have about 10 or 15 minutes left. So if you have a question, kindly go to the question and answer box, type it in right now, and I'll answer it to the best of my ability, okay? Someone is asking, how would you apply this to bond trading or futures in general? They don't close in bars like equities do, or am I missing something? Well, let me answer it this way. I personally, my market of choice is the E-mini futures. So I use these on the futures. They close the exact same way. In other words, all you're looking for is any type of a chart. You can use this on commodities. You can use this on currency pairs. You can apply this to Bitcoin. It makes absolutely no difference. Wherever there is a chart, you can see if they close in the top or bottom 25%. And you can go down, if you want to a 4-hour chart, a 1-hour chart. I mean, I use this personally on 5-minute charts. So I don't see why you can't apply it to bond trading. Now, remember, it all determines on what you're thinking of. Remember, in your question, it says, how do you apply this to bond trading? Remember, this is not something to use as a trading vehicle. This is something simply to get you in sync with the trend. You can still trade any way you'd like to. You can trade the bonds any way you like to, or your preferred strategy or technique. This is just something giving you a high level of consistency as to which direction the trend is moving. That's what this is right now, okay? So we have bond traders using this. We also have currency pair traders using this. We also have Bitcoin traders using it. It really makes no difference, okay? That's a good question, though. Somebody's asking, yeah, they were asking the same thing. Can I apply this to currency pairs? Yes, you can. We have lots of currency pair traders that trade this. I know a lot of currency pair traders like to use 4-hour charts. Well, that makes absolutely no difference. You can use this on a 4-hour chart, as I said earlier. You can use this on a tick chart, intraday, or, as I showed you, weekly and monthly bars. Makes absolutely no difference. Remember, this is just something to get you in sync with the trend, okay? Let's see, the ticks have only one price. How do you determine if it's in the top or bottom 25% of a bar? Well, remember, in the top or 25, all you have to do is look at a bar. Let's say you're looking at a daily bar, okay? Divide that bar by 4 separate but equal parts. If you close in the top 25%, that's the top, that's a short-term upward trend signal. Now, remember, this is all done automatically on the chart. So there's, like I said, 4 decades ago, I had to do the hard work, and I had to take each bar and divide it by 4 and said, okay, this one doesn't work. This one, oh, wow, now this one does. And it was so difficult because by the time I looked up, I missed the setup. But it's all done automatically on the platform. All you have to do is click on the top bottom 25% bar, like I had showed earlier on the chart. Someone was asking, what exactly are the platforms you can apply this to? Well, remember, this can be applied if you want. You can use the add-ons for most of the major market platforms like TradeStation, Metastock, MT4, NinjaTrader, and even Thinkorswim. There's a couple of alterations you need to make, but you can even use it for that, or Sierra Charts. But you're also going to be getting 6 months of the platform totally free, the PTS Primo charting platform. So my suggestion would be, those platforms can't hold a candle to what we have because everything is built in automatically. It's already pre-formatted. There's nothing you have to do. It's already right there. As the other question was asked, well, how do I find out? How do you determine if it's in the top, bottom 25%? Well, it's one click away. All you have to do is click on the top, bottom, and it automatically, you see it right there. So that's the beauty. Like I said, if you want, I believe Pro Trader Strategies can supply you with the add-ons. You have to go through the whole downloading process. You have to be able to know how to do that. And then you have to know how to click it on every time and where to go to each time you want to use it, let's say on TradeStation or let's say on Metastock. But with our platform, all you have to do is just click on the tab and it's already there. So it's so much easier than using it on other platforms, okay? Let's see, next question. Someone asked, this is my most common question I always get asked, someone asked about educational correspondence. Yes, educational correspondence is something we term as being your own personal mentor. In other words, since we are first and foremost an educational company, our goal is to educate you. Unfortunately, I can't be sitting next to you 24/7, so that when you have a question or you don't understand how to apply something, you can just lean over and ask me. Even though I'd love to, I can't do that. We have students around the world in over 115 countries and every state in the US, so I can't be in all those places at once. So the best thing next to that is to give you my personal email address. Anytime you have a question, anytime concerning trading or applying these trend trading techniques, or even trading strategy number 1, which you'll get included in the $297 price, you can contact me. Send me an email. I had emails this morning on a Saturday morning that I've already answered. I get emails all the time, and I'll answer all my questions as soon as possible. So I know a lot of other websites say, well, they do that as well. Well, most of the time, you're sending an email to an intern or to someone's assistant, but it's not going to the person, to the trader. And that's, I don't believe in that. I receive all my emails only to me, and I answer all the questions personally. Okay, so you're getting that as well, your own educational correspondence. Okay, good questions. We are just about at the end. Now remember, this is a fantastic offer. It's over $8,400. You're going to get this for less than $300, and on top of that, you're getting the platform for 6 months. So I can't think of a better way to take your trading to the next level. As I said earlier, invest in yourself. For too long, you've been investing in another company. You've been investing in some perfect system they're supposed to have, or you've been investing in some perfect indicator they're supposed to have. You're basically investing in their products. Invest in yourself, because all this is education. These are things that were taught to me some 4 decades ago that I want to pass on to you. So invest in yourself. This is what we call taking your trading to the next level. Someone's asking one last time, what is the cost of the platform after 6 months? Remember, after 6 months, you have the choice to decide whether you want to keep going or not. It won't be automatically charged to your card or to you. But after 6 months, most of our students say, hey, I'm sold. This is amazing. Most students don't just stay for 6 months. They continue to re-up and to buy a strategy or to get more education. And I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe the cost is only $97 per month. Now that's far less than a lot of platforms. And remember, the things you're going to get on the PTS Primo charting platform, you won't find anywhere else. There are different ways, techniques that I just shared with you. There are dozens more techniques and ideas and concepts that I take from the trading floor, from my days on the trading floor, that you won't find anywhere else. These are all things that are yours on the platform for less than $100. So once again, Pro Trader Strategies, my sister site, is in charge of all the discounts, is in charge of all the tech support. If you have questions concerning that aspect, please feel free to call them. There's absolutely no obligation. They would be more than happy to give you some quotes, and they would be more than happy to fill you in on current discounts and other products that we have, okay? That's 310-598-6677. But also, if you're interested and you want to sign up online for this great offer, remember, this is not something that lasts for 6 months, then it's over. You're going to get this information for life. So for $297, strategy number 1 is yours. All these 12 concepts are yours. The Trend Trading Bootcamp course is yours. The only thing that expires after 6 months is your availability of the platform. But you can always re-up if you'd like to do that. So this is all yours to keep for life, except for the platform, obviously. So give them a call, 310-598-6677. They would be more than happy to take your order over the phone. Or if you have questions, there's absolutely no obligation. They can answer any question that you may have. Okay, so as we conclude here, I want you to take one last look at our disclaimer. And I just want to thank you so much for taking time out of your Saturday. I hope you learned something. Once again, we are first and foremost an educational company. Even if you don't decide to come with us and take this great offer, I wanted to teach you something. I always like to teach you something so that you don't feel that, we're disingenuous and we're not trying to really help you. We're just trying to sell you something. If you decide to go on your own way and say, well, this is not for me, at least I left you with 2 great techniques that you can still apply, okay? But if you really want to take your trading to the next level and get on that higher level of performance, take advantage of this great offer, okay? Thank you so much for attending. Have a great Saturday. Hope to see you in the Trend Trading course. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.